All right, hello and welcome again to the Covenant Science Tutorial official YouTube channel where science subjects and the use of English are our primary concern. Yes, the sciences, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, and the English language are our primary focus. On today's episode of the classification series, which began some time ago, we are going to be looking at a special category of organisms in biology known as the Kingdom Fungi. We have done the teaching on the Kingdom Monera, and it is right there on the channel. You can always avail yourself of the opportunity to get acquainted with the contents of that teaching video. We have equally looked at the Kingdom Protista and the various divisions of the protists, all right, even with a critical discourse of key organisms representing the various classes of the protists. Today, we're going to be talking about another group of exciting organisms known as the fungi. Before we go on, quickly, if you have not, as of this moment, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share the contents of this channel with your friends and family members, all right? Especially persons who could be sitting science exams, whether locally or internationally. All right, do well to refer your friends, your colleagues, your classmates, your children, etc. to this channel. All right, so the Kingdom Fungi. Now, the fungi or the fungus, singular, plural is fungi, they are a group of organisms, okay, behaving as plants but lacking certain important plant features. All right, they lack certain important plant features, as we will see shortly. Excellent. Now, if you are to be considered a member of the Kingdom Fungi, you must possess the following features. Number one, you must be achlorophyllous, meaning you must lack chlorophyll. And as we know, chlorophyll is an important pigment in plants, which is responsible for the execution of what we term photosynthesis. Okay, so fungi lack chlorophyll, and as such, they do not carry out photosynthesis. So this is to suggest that fungi cannot manufacture their own food. Now, if they cannot manufacture their own food, how then do they feed? The answer is simple. Most fungi are saprophytic, all right, while others are parasitic. Now, what does it mean to be a saprophyte? A saprophyte is an organism that carries out a mode of nutrition called saprophytism. Saprophytism is simply a mode of nutrition where an organism feeds on dead, decaying matter. Yes, all right, dead, decaying matter. That is what we call saprophytism. Let's go ahead. Number 2 point that makes for being a fungi, number 2 feature, is that you must be non-motile. So all fungi are non-motile. Non-motile means they cannot move. They cannot carry out locomotion, okay? With the exception of a kind of fungi known as the slime mold. So this is the only motile fungi, and its name is the slime mold. All right. Now, in biology, when you hear terms like motile and something we call sessile, okay, they have distinct meanings. To be motile means capable of carrying out movements. Yes. While to be sessile is to be fixed and you cannot move about. All right. So we can say that animals are motile, while plants are sessile. Okay, animals are motile because they can move about. Plants are sessile because they are fixed. All right, with the help of roots, or what we call root system, they are fixed to the earth. Excellent. So we proceed. The number 3 feature of being a fungi is they are saprophytes, like I mentioned earlier, while some are parasitic, with the example pythium. All right, this is not python, this is pythium. All right, it's a fungi. Now, please note at this point that pythium is responsible for the disease we know as the damping off of seedlings in plants. Yes, so pythium is responsible for the disease damping off of seedlings in plants. The number 4 feature that makes an organism a fungi is that they are multinucleated and multicellular. So all fungi are multinucleated and multicellular except for yeast, which is unicellular. All right, yeast, unicellular. And the scientific name for yeast, as we know it, is the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Also, you must note at this point that yeast exists in colonies also. Some yeast can exist in colonies. All right, we have a video already on the channel on forms in which cells exist. Yes, under the cell and its environment. All right, we made mention of the form in which cells exist. Ensure you see that video so you understand what it means to be a colonial organism or to exist in colony. All right, so yeast is unicellular and other fungi are multicellular. Yeast, in some of its variants, can exist in colonies. And do not forget, I said the scientific name for yeast is the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. The 5th point here is that all fungi possess a vegetative part known as the mycelium. All fungi possess a vegetative part known as the mycelium. What do they mean by vegetative part? Vegetative there simply stands for reproductive, the part of the fungi that is responsible for her reproduction. Yes, because plants reproduce in different ways. All right, plants reproduce naturally by the use of seeds, stem, and tubers, other forms. Okay, now plants equally reproduce by what we call vegetative propagation. All right, and we have what is called the artificial vegetative propagation. Yes, so we equally have other agricultural practice for reproduction like layering, marcotting, and grafting, and so on. Okay, so the vegetative part or body of the fungi is called the mycelium. Now, this mycelium is made up of fine filaments known as hyphae. Mycelium is known, as the vegetative part, and it is made up of fine filaments called hyphae. You see that now? Excellent. Now, the hyphae of fungi may be divided by what we call cross walls. All right, so there are fungi with cross walls. There are fungi whose hyphae are divided with cross walls, while there are those whose hyphae possess no cross walls. So, the hyphae wall of fungi may be divided by cross walls in some fungi, or it may be without cross walls in others. When a fungi possesses cross walls, that fungi is said to be septate. But when it does not possess a cell wall, that fungi is said to be non-septate. Now, for exam conditions, I will need you to know that a fungi without hyphae walls that are crossed a fungi without cross walls is described biologically as cynocytic. Please take notes. All right, so instead of saying non-septate, the examiner could choose to use the expression we call cynocytic. Excellent. An example of a fungi that has cross walls, that is an example of a septate fungi, is what we call the penicillium. Penicillium. All right. Another example for a fungi that is without cross walls is what we call the rhizopus, also known as mucor. Okay. Lastly, the hyphae wall of fungi is made up of chitin. All right, the hyphae wall of fungi is made up of chitin. All right, this chitin is also the skeletal material of some invertebrates. All right, the chitin is also the skeletal material of some invertebrates. Now, thus far, you can see that the fungi has both animal and plant-like features. You see that now? Excellent. So the fungi does not have chlorophyll, right? And then the fungi stores carbohydrates as glycogen. All right. Plant cells are supposed to store carbohydrates as starch, but fungi stores carbohydrates as glycogen. Okay, so their hyphae walls are made up of chitin. In some other fungi, their makeup consists of what we call a fungous cellulose cell wall. Yes, some fungi have a fungous cellulose cell wall. Excellent. Now, fungi can be classified based on the structures that bear their spores. Okay, this is because fungi usually reproduce asexually via two main processes. The first process is called spore formation, production of spores. All right, and in biology, the process by which spores are formed is known as sporulation. Okay? The other asexual form of their reproduction is called budding. Excellent. They can equally reproduce sexually by a process called conjugation. Okay? Very good. So, when we classify fungi, we classify them on the basis of their spores, that is, the structures present in them that bear spores, that bear their spores. All right? Before we get to the classes of fungi, remember I mentioned that fungi store excess carbohydrates as glycogen. Lastly, they lack well-defined roots, stems, and leaves. All right? And for a plant to be considered a plant, it ought to possess well-defined roots, stems, and leaves. So if they do not have true roots, true stems, and true leaves, it also means they lack what we call vascular bundles, which are typically of two types, the xylem and the phloem. Okay? Excellent. Now let's see the classes of fungi. There are three main classes of fungi. We have what is called the phycomycetes, all right, or we can simply call them the zygomycetes, okay, belonging to a class we call zygomycota. Excellent. Now, these zygomycetes or phycomycetes are filamentous fungi, all right, that is, they exist as filaments. Yes, but do not forget that this classification is based on the structures that bear their spores, all right, and their spores are the parts that brings about their reproduction, such that when their spores are dispersed, a new organism can emerge. All right, so in the zygomycetes, the part of the fungi that bears the spores is what we call the sporangium. Okay, so in the filamentous fungi category, their spores are born in structures called sporangia. Singular is called sporangium. Okay, and then these fungi are also non-septate. That is, they do not have cross walls. Yes, so we can say they are sinusitic. All right. Examples include a fungi we know as saprolegnia, another fungi we call abugo, also known as white rust, the black mold, e.g. mucor, or the rhizopus. Okay, now for exam conditions, the rhizopus is the key organism here. Yes, so examiners love to ask questions on mucor or rhizopus. Okay, so shortly afterwards, you are going to be seeing diagrams of the rhizopus with detailed explanations on the rhizopus. Now, the second category we have are the ascomycetes, also known as the sac fungi. All right. Now, the ascomycetes, they are septate. That is, they have cross walls. Okay. And then they bear their spores in a reproductive structure known as the conidia. Don't forget, phycomycetes bear their spores in a structure called the sporangium, while the ascomycetes, that is the ascomycota, bear their spores in structures called the conidia. All right, and then they are septate. Examples of the ascomycetes, we have the Penicillium notatum. All right, Penicillium notatum. And then we have Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is the yeast. Okay? The third category we have here is the basidiomycetes, which are the basidiomycota, also called the club fungi. So these guys, or these fungi, are called the club fungi because they bear their spores in club-like structures, which we call basidia. They bear their spores in club-like structures, which we call basidia. A typical example of such an organism is the mushroom. All right. So right here is the diagram of the mushroom. You can see the umbrella-shaped fruiting body. This umbrella-shaped fruiting body of the mushroom is what we call the pilus, also known as the cap. All right. Now, attached to this umbrella-shaped fruiting body, that is underneath the pilus, we have structures known as gills. But not just that, underneath this pilus is also the spores. This is where the spores are found. This is the club-like structure we're talking about. All right. And then we have an attachment which connects the pilus to the body, the hyphae wall of the mushroom. Okay, and it is called the stipe, also known as the stalk. All right, and found here is what we call a bud, B-U-D. All right, so this is a young mushroom already sprouting via a process called budding. Remember, they reproduce asexually, either by spore formation or by budding. All right. Now, there are two types of budding in biology. We have what is called the internal budding and the external budding. All right. The internal budding, the bud, that is the offshoot, the growth, takes place on the inside. All right. And it is usually very harmful. Sometimes it leads to the death of the parent organism. Yes. And then the external budding, the bud, which as you can see here, grows as an offshoot externally from the mother's body, and it is usually safer. Okay, it does not in any way occasion the death of the parent organism. So when it grows to a certain point, it can actually break off from the mother's body and then exist independently. Excellent. Then we also have what is called the hyphae. All right. This is the mushroom. Now, the last category of fungi, or the last class of fungi, is what we call the deuteromycetes, also known as the imperfect fungi. Imperfect. All right. And examples here include what we call Fusarium, Cryptococcus, which causes a disease that affects the brain and the meninges. All right, you know the meninges is the membrane that surrounds the brain and the spinal cord. So the fungi Cryptococcus hominis affects that membrane. It causes a disease which we call cryptococcosis. You see that now? Very good. All right, so this is all you need to know basically about the fungi. Shortly after this moment, diagrams will be coming up on your screen with detailed explanations on each diagram and the organism represented and basic features you need to know about the organisms that will guarantee you an outstanding success in any biology exam you are sitting, as far as questions regarding the fungi are tested. Please stay glued to your seat and enjoy the diagram session. Thank you.
First off, we have the diagram of the Rhizopus nigricans. As you can see, the mycelium of the Rhizopus is differentiated into 3 types of hyphae. We have what we call the submerged hyphae, the mulch-branched hyphae, also known as rhizoids, and then we have the erect hyphae or vertical hyphae, also known as sporangiophores, and then we equally have horizontally disposed hyphae called stolons. Okay, so vertical hyphae is sporangiophore, while horizontal hyphae is called stolon in the Rhizopus. Also, the Rhizopus is a saprophyte.
Digestion in the Rhizopus is extracellular, and it reproduces asexually by spore formation. And the spores of the Rhizopus are released or dispersed by air, especially when the conditions is favorable. They also reproduce sexually by conjugation.
Next up is yeast. The yeast is oval or spherical in shape, and usually it exists as a single cell that is unicellular, just as previously stated, or in colony. Under aerobic conditions, yeast converts sugar solutions to what we call pyruvic acid. In the presence of oxygen, this pyruvic acid is converted to carbon dioxide and water. In the absence of oxygen, the pyruvic acid is converted to carbon dioxide and alcohol. This is what is known as alcoholic fermentation. The carbon dioxide produced by yeast under aerobic and anaerobic conditions is used to raise dough in bakeries, while the alcohol produced under anaerobic conditions is used in breweries. Yeast reproduces asexually by budding. Under unfavorable conditions, the yeast cell forms a thick wall, which is known as cyst, around itself. Inside the cyst, the nucleus and cytoplasm divide into 4 parts each, of which forms a thick wall of its own. Each part is known as ascospore, and the whole structure is referred to as an ascus. When the condition is favorable, the ascus bursts, and each ascospore grows into a yeast cell. You should know that yeast equally reproduces sexually by conjugation. Also, yeast is economically important to man. Number 1, it is useful in bakeries and breweries, like I earlier stated. And number 2, it is a source of vitamin B.
The mushroom. A fully grown mushroom is an umbrella substructure consisting of a stalk, also called stripe, at the end of which is an expanded head, also known as the pilus. The stripe and pilus are made up of closely interwoven hyphae. The pilus is the reproductive part of the mushroom. It corresponds to the sporangium of the rhizopus and the conidiophore of penicillium. Radiating out from the stripe on the underground of the pilus is a number of delicate gills made up of interwoven hyphae. On the terminal portion of the hyphae from the basidia forms the basidia, which bear the spores. A basidium develops 2 or 4 small projections, at the end of which a basidiospore is formed. At maturity, spores are set free from the basidia. The spores germinate into mycelium when the condition is favorable, while the basidia wither away. Just like yeast, the basidiomycetes, which mushroom belongs to, as a class of fungi, possess economic importance. Number 1, puffballs, which is an example of the basidiomycetes, and certain kinds of mushrooms are eatable. That is, they are edible and considered as delicacies. Number 2, they are decomposers. They help in the recycling of organic materials, and they improve soil fertility. Please note that the mushroom reproduces asexually by budding.
This is the penicillium. Its full name is known as the Penicillium notatum. The mycelium of the penicillium has 3 kinds of hyphae: stolons, rhizoids, and conidiophores. The reproductive structure of the penicillium is the conidia, which is found on a structure known as the conidiophore. The hyphae wall of penicillium are septate, and each cell can be binucleate or multinucleate. Its feeding mechanism is same as that of the rhizopus. While respiration in penicillium is by diffusion of gases between the atmosphere and the cytoplasm of the hyphae.
For reproduction, the penicillium can reproduce both sexually and asexually. Asexually, it reproduces by sporulation, which we know as the formation of spores, while sexually, it reproduces by giving rise to a male and a female structure. The male structure is called the antheridium, while the female structure is called the archicap. The archicap is attached to the hyphae wall by the stalk. In the middle part of the archicap is the egg cell, also called ascogonium. The male structure known as antheridium grows towards the archicap and twists itself around it. The hyphae wall at the point of contact breaks and fertilization takes place, leading to the formation of fruiting bodies known as ascocap.
Penicillium is equally of economic importance as it is used for the production of an antibiotic known as penicillin. Penicillium is a saprophytic fungus. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Do not forget to like, to subscribe to the channel, and to share. Thank you for watching.